We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 65. It took 65 episodes, but Brunswick finally has a new studio system set up where he doesn't have pink walls. And
I'm in my official spot. I am out of my daughter's bedroom.
So bigger and better things. We finally got Lance a more appropriate studio.
I went and bought myself an office. Installed it myself.
You can't change a belt on a lawnmower. How are you going to install an office?
I am not your manly man, handyman, none of that. No, that's not me.
That's
not my job description.
You're not red green anyway.
Huh? So remember, if women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
No, not by any means. I'm more like Tim Taylor, but even worse.
Yeah. All right. We actually got a ton of news to talk about this week, so we'll hit that first. Then we've got another episode of Vikings History 101. We had kind of a hot button topic on our Facebook page earlier in the week, so we figured we'd kind of dive into that a little bit more.
The thing is, I wasn't trying to be negative with that hot button.
No, I know, no, but it just kind of...
It just turned into it.
It kind of blew up a little bit, so we figured we'd take a step back in history and kind of look at that. Of course, another classic beer commercial coming up later. Brunswick's Best takes a look at the best players to wear number 65, and a few other things we'll probably find along the way to throw in here too as we go. So with that, we will start with the news. First, the NFL related.
Baker Mayfield coming to Minnesota.
God damn it, I'm going to kick your ass.
Oh, that was last week's news.
That was last week. That was last week's piss off rhino.
Man,
Find something else to piss me off this week.
Okay.
But anyway, we some double sad news for the Baltimore Ravens organization here in the last couple of days as we record on Wednesday. First on Tuesday, linebacker Jalen Ferguson passed away, 26 years old. As of time of recording here, again, Wednesday, no cause of death has been released anyway. Investigations into what happened still ongoing, I'm guessing, but and then one that a lot of people who were fans of the NFL back in the 90s are going to recognize this name. Wednesday afternoon, former Ravens nose tackle, Fox sideline reporter Tony Siragusa passed away.
Right,
at the age of 55.
It's crazy, man. I mean,
yeah, that one shocked me. I mean, I just happened to be paid, or it actually popped up as a notification on my phone just shortly before we started recording here. So wanted to touch on that. And our condolences go out to the Ferguson family and his loved ones, and also to the Siragusa family. Our deepest condolences. May they both rest in peace. Then we got a few kind of interesting news tidbits that we'll just hit real quick here. This one I found kind of funny. They were talking to Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Chase Claypool earlier in the week about the potential for contract extension and where he views himself to be, you know, falling in that salary range. You know, like we kind of talked about Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk.
I can't believe it. I'll never get it. Maybe he'll go and just tear it up this year. I don't know, but
with 2-yard Tua thrown to both him and Tyreek Hill, I kind of doubt it. But Chase Claypool said that he truly believes he is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL.
You serious?
good for him for believing that.
But I mean, that's so outrageous. I mean, he's a top 3 wide receiver on his own team, but top 3 wide receiver I mean, our buddy Drew posted some stats on our Gallagher group earlier on Wednesday here. And most of his stat line put him in the low 50s as far as NFL rankings for last year. Of course, he had washed up Ben Roethlisberger holding him back, I'm sure was the reason, you know, because if he had a quarterback that still had an arm at all, he would have been easily top 5 at least.
Ben was, you could tell some of those throws were getting to be ducks later on in his career.
So, you know, that's why Claypool was only ranked in the 50s last year. But hey, if he thinks he's top 3 and he
good
can
for him,
get,
though. I mean, what do you expect? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't expect a guy to come out and say, yeah, I'm a middle of the road, half-ass sucky wide receiver in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, but
he could have worded it differently. You know,
yeah, you wouldn't have had to,
for itself.
You know, if he could have said, I think I'm a top 10 wide receiver in this league or something, and people probably
Or
wouldn't have
even a
thought
top
anything
receiver.
about
I'm an elite receiver in this league.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I'm a top level receiver in this league. You wouldn't have had to put a number on it, but
Right.
But it was a good for
I'm
a
sure
laugh.
there's a lot of receivers out there that could have a little debate with him on that.
Yeah, well, one of them tends to do the gritty quite a bit of times in the end zone around US Bank Stadium. So
who's actually been voted in the top 3 receivers, to say the least?
Yeah, which I forget who put that out earlier in the week as well, that they had ranked Justin Jefferson.
CBS Sports.
Was it CBS Sports had ranked Justin Jefferson's number 2 in the league?
If not CBS Sports, Pro Football Network.
Yeah, it was one of the 2, but
yep.
I mean, Justin Jefferson's without question the top 5 in the league.
Anybody wondering who number 1 was? Not that it matters, but I know you hear Justin Jefferson's number 2. You want to know who number 1 is. It was Devontae Adams of the Raiders, and deservedly so.
Yeah, I mean, Adams deserves to be in that conversation.
Oh, you guys are fucking Packer lovers now?
He's a Raider now. He's not in the. He doesn't play for that team in Wisconsin, so you can speak well. You can speak well of players once they leave that cheese-infested crap hole in Wisconsin over there. So.
Right. If you don't know by now, we're going to keep it real with anybody and everything and all things football, you know. So.
Yep.
Even though we hate the Packers, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you praise anybody on Green Bay, we probably have to go take 3 showers after we're done recording. But you know, we're going to keep it real. So
that's exactly right.
Speaking of keeping it real, we'll move on. Announced earlier this week also that Deshaun Happy Endings Watson has settled 20 of the 24 civil cases against him.
It's the first good news he's heard in a long time.
Yeah. That is going to have no bearing on what the NFL decides to do with him, which rumors been rumored the last week or so that they're pushing for a 1-year suspension, which
a heavy disciplinary action is what the wording I heard.
Which personally, I think I said, like we were talking off air before we started, if Calvin Ridley's getting a year for gambling, Watson should be getting at least a year and a half, I would think.
It also takes a little bit of a mention that Goodell isn't the one that's handing out or he isn't the one that handed out the terms or whatever anymore. It's somebody else.
Yeah, Goodell still has his fingers in it.
His fingers are still in it, but he's not the one with the last say and the last word anymore, like it was at one point.
Well,
he was the end all say all.
His name isn't on it anyway. It's I'm guessing he still has the final say, in my opinion. But anyway, we're not going to get down that rabbit hole.
Right. Moving along.
Yep. Then one other non-Viking related news: former Patriot and Tampa Bay Buck tight end Rob Gronkowski retired again.
Surprising to me.
So now I suppose he'll go back to WWE or whatever he was doing before Brady called him out of retirement last time. But
on the Fox pregame,
he was doing that too. So I'm guessing he's got a job back there again.
Yeah.
And I still wouldn't rule out the possibility you get towards training camp and Tom Brady's going to call him and say, "Hey Gronk, we need you back for a little bit," and he'll come back again. So as of right now, he's retired.
Without football, honestly, he's got that personality that's kind of magnetic, and he won't have any issues, unless he goes and fucks it up for himself. But other than that, he'll do just fine without football.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll move on here now to some Vikings type related in one way, shape, or form news. Anyway, former Viking cornerback and favorite player of our buddy Denver Sox fan, Trey Waynes, has unofficially announced his retirement. Saying some teams have called with some interest, but he said in his head he feels like he's done. So he struggled with injuries, of course, after leaving Minnesota. He only played 5 games in 2 years with Cincinnati. So
got paid though.
Yeah, he made 75% of the money he made in his career. He made with Cincinnati, but played 95% of the games in Minnesota.
Yeah, that happens though.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a bad deal for Cincinnati on that one.
Yeah.
But, then another former Viking and personal favorite of this show, Dakota Dozier, earlier in the week ended up being carted off the practice field in Chicago with an apparent leg injury. Sounds like
I thought he might have sprained his vagina.
Yeah, sound like it's potentially fairly serious. So good chance he probably might go on an IR and not be available. Which
what a big loss for Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, as excited
how we're going to look this year without him.
As excited as the Bears organization was on social media when they signed him, saying that they signed themselves a bulldozer, only to have the track come off, and now it's parked in the shop. But
anyway. Well, honestly, though, we
don't wish injuries on him. He's been a favorite punching bag for this show ever since we started.
And you know what? He's been around the league for a while, so that's just enough in itself. So
yeah. So, but we just wanted to mention that. Then another ranking thing that came out this week, Pro Football Network put out their rankings of all 32 head coaches heading into this year. Take a guess where Kevin O'Connell was ranked.
I would think somewhere, towards the end, but 25, between 25 and 30.
32.
Yeah,
and they gave no reasoning for him being 32 out of 32 other than they called him a true wild card.
Right.
And the saying that he didn't call plays in Los Angeles, which is true, but he was in charge of all the game prep and game setup and everything else. He wasn't calling the plays on game day.
Let him say that because that just adds fuel.
Right.
So,
but you had of course, you had 31 other coaches ranked ahead of him, which you've got guys like Matt Eberflus in Chicago with a roster that is a 12 alarm burning dumpster barge.
Oh, but they're hitting really hard over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's got them hitting hard, and they're going to surprise some people. You've got Brian Dayball, who I was a big fan of in New York, but they've with a bad roster.
Matt fucking Rule, seriously?
Yeah, Matt Rule, who's been on the hot seat for so long, he can't sit down anymore. And also Mike McDaniel in Miami, who also has never.
Mike McDaniel.
I like him. He's a good listen and stuff his personality and stuff when he does press conferences, but he's never called plays either. So I don't know how he's less of a wild card than O'Connell is. Where the Vikings clearly have a better roster, I think, than Miami does.
Yeah.
But anyway, rankings right now mean absolutely dick. So it's just figured we bring it up.
They're just there for us to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Gave us something to talk about on a slow week. So then one other one that's been catching a lot of fire the last couple of days, and I was tempted to not even bring it up because I hate these kind of rumors that somebody just grabs and runs with. But apparently the Vikings have had multiple discussions with free agent defensive lineman Ndamukong Suh. Now, allegedly he'd also had discussions with the Raiders, and he came out earlier in the week saying how cool it would be to play with the Raiders and this, that, and whatever. Then on Wednesday, there was another rumor come out here again. Don't know how substantiated or whatever, that the Raiders probably aren't as interested in him as it was originally thought.
He's getting old, man.
He's 35 years old, and last year was his worst statistical year of his career. I think his PFF ranking was like 45 or something like that.
Ooh.
So personally, I think he's pretty much burned out. I don't think there's much left in the tank.
No, and you know what? He's been durable. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, he's only missed. That
means the tread on the tires is that much lower as well.
He's only missed 2 games in his career, I think. But
eventually, the body just can't do it no more.
Personally, I'm not a fan of bringing him in. If they do, they do. Fine. See what he's got in training camp. But I would prefer to let the young guys prove themselves and to bring in some washed up old has-been that, that's gonna basically you've got everybody in Vikings fandom right now clamoring to sign this guy for no other reason than familiar name syndrome, because they know the name, they know how he has played over his career.
7 years ago, I would have been like, yeah. I
mean, he's always been a dirty player, but he's a good player. Or he was, by all accounts,
a good locker room guy too. So
yeah, but like I said, I don't think he's got enough left in the tank to really bother with. But we'll see what Kwesi and company decide if they bring him in.
Hicks, so that's saying something too. So why would you turn around and sign Saw then?
Right, and Sue is older than Hicks was, so yeah. Anyway. That's about all we got for the news. So we'll move on here before we get down another rabbit hole. But quick reminder for everybody watching and or listening about our contest we have going on right now. Very simple for you guys to enter, whether you're watching on the Facebook page later on, whether you're watching on the YouTube channel, or while you're listening on the audio podcast. Simply go to our YouTube page. Just go to YouTube and search Vikings Uncensored. Subscribe to the channel, and then down in the most current video in the list, just comment "I subscribed," and that's all you have to do to enter.
Once we hit 400, which it's creeping up there, so
yeah, right. Once we hit 400, we'll give away a $100 gift card to NFLshop.com for you to use as you so choose, whether you're, buying Vikings gear, whether you're a fan of another team and watch our show. How you spend it, I guess, is up to you. But if you spend it on Packers gear, don't tell us about it. So anyway, like we mentioned earlier in the show, Lance had posted something on our Facebook page earlier in the week about the Vikings being the only team that's been around more than 60 years to not win a national championship, or, And we had several people, of course, blow it up because of the NFL championship that the Vikings technically won in 1969. Although that was
You guys
after
didn't
the-
know about that? You must not be real fans.
after that was after the Super Bowl era started. But we're going to dive into this a little deeper here with this week's edition of Vikings History 101.
Professor Rhino's back.
All
Let's
right.
hear it.
So, of course, like we mentioned here in the lead-in, there's debate on whether or not that 1969 NFL championship actually counts as a world championship or not. Of course, that was Super Bowl IV that year. So prior to the Super Bowl era, the AFL and NFL weren't anything together. So the NFL championship, the Ed Thorpe Award is what it was called, was the penultimate championship. So when you won that, you were the NFL champion.
Right.
Once you hit the Super Bowl era, it lost some of its luster and basically became equivalent to the NFC championship.
It became second fiddle to the
Super Bowl.
or the Super Bowl championship at the
Right.
time.
And there's also an interesting story about the trophy going missing and having something to do with the Vikings and kind of what happened to it. So we're going to dive into that and give you guys a little bit of a history lesson on some of that stuff too. So the Vikings were technically the last team to win the Ed Thorpe Trophy in 1969. The first winner was the New York Giants in 1934. There were 6 original trophies made. The first 6 years, they made a new trophy for the team. It wasn't a traveling trophy at the time like the Lombardi is now. So the 34 Giants, the 35 Lions, the 36 Packers, the 37 Redskins, the 38 Giants, and the 39 Packers all got quote unquote originals for the winning the NFL title in that year. After that, they more or less was each team would get a replica trophy, and then there was the one main standard trophy, kind of basically the same as what the Lombardi does now.
Right.
And in 1961, it technically became a traveling trophy. But after 1969, the trophy went missing for several decades. And the original theory or urban legend on what actually happened was that when the Vikings supposedly had the trophy and they were thought to have possessed it after 1969, somehow lost it after
No
that.
wonder we're cursed, right?
Between the 69 NFL championship and the Super Bowl. So the story goes that after winning the Ed Thorpe Trophy, of course, they went on to face the AFL champion Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl IV that year. It was widely thought that the Vikings accidentally left the trophy behind at a gas station on their way to the Super Bowl. And
Left it in the bathroom.
yeah, more or less left it on the counter or something, sat it down to buy a bag of Funyuns or something and forgot it sitting there, whatever. Yeah. So then it was rumored that the spirit of Ed Thorpe was pissed off that we lost their trophy and cursed the team for losing the trophy, which again sends into the urban legend why we've lost 4 Super Bowls and 6 NFC championships since then. Then in 2015, an interesting thing happened. The quote unquote original traveling trophy was found in the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame.
That's
So,
some shit right there.
Apparently the
That makes me
original
mad.
the original traveling trophy never left Green Bay after they won in 1967, because that trophy did not have the 68 Baltimore Colts or the 69 Minnesota Vikings listed on the trophy as champions.
Those dicks.
So if you want to blame
We're
somebody for the
owners.
fact why we haven't won a Super Bowl, blame the freaking Packers because they stole the trophy. However, the replica trophy that belonged to the Minnesota Vikings was located in 2020. And apparently the people who had it or found it offered it to the team to, to put in the trophy case or whatever. However, the Vikings turned it down for some reason or another.
That's not the. Oh man, no.
I mean, I think they should go get it. So maybe that would reverse the curse. But the replica reportedly goes on display during game days at a bar called the Maple Tavern in Maple Grove, Minnesota.
That's pretty cool.
Apparently, there's some members of the VWO that are in charge of it or something that put it out for the game and whatever all else.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but so that kind of is the history of the Ed Thorpe Trophy and how it pertains to the Vikings and the fateful missing of it since
That was great.
1969. So
I was emotionally affected by that story,
yeah,
Professor.
and just so we're clear on this, to the spirit of Ed Thorpe, should you be listening, I don't have a Ouija board, but we're gonna speak to the great beyond from the platform that we have, the Ouija podcast or whatever you want to call it. But Mr. Thorpe,
candles here.
yeah, Mr. Thorpe, we truly apologize for anything that you may have believed the Vikings did to desecrate your good name and that trophy. So if you could find it in your spirit to relieve us of that curse, we would be most grateful. And when you think about it, the reason for all this happening wasn't the Vikings in the first place, it was the Packers. So if you could go curse them for the next 60 years, that would be great.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
So just wanted to say that, rest in peace to the great Ed Thorpe, and may his spirit live on and give good fortune to the Minnesota Vikings from this point forward.
Amen.
Yes. With that, we're going to roll into another one of our classic beer commercials. So you guys head to the fridge, grab yourself a fresh cold one, crack it open, check this out, and we'll be back in a minute.
Kumbuk. It began 135 years ago, Tivoli, when these classic old-world beers turned a northern outpost town, Wiener, into the brewing capital of America, Old Heidelberg. That Milwaukee brewing tradition is alive today. Blatz. Blatz is still brewed the old-world way, for the same classic taste that shaped the destiny of Milwaukee. Today's Blatz. Taste the heritage of Milwaukee.
Roger Vero just took the Blatz taste test.
This one tastes better.
Okay, here we go.
I don't believe it. I seen these commercials on TV and I didn't believe it. What's the other one?
Take it off yourself. It's your regular beer.
Oh my God. It's the truth. Them guys ain't putting on like we all used to think. We sit around watching TV, drinking beer. We'd laugh. It must be the truth.
Why do you say that?
Because I just done it.
Okay, we're back, and we have reached the point in the show where once again, Lance takes us on a look.
Beautiful journey.
A beautiful journey at the greatest players to wear the number 65 with this week's Brunswick's Best.
Boy,
So,
howdy.
Who you got for us this week, Lance?
Well, I had 4 for you a couple weeks back. I had 3 for you last week. So this week I got 2 for you with a little bit of an honorable mention sprinkled in here. So we're going to start out old school like we normally do. And we'll go with some Gary Zimmerman, huh? Yeah. So Zimmerman started his career actually with the Los Angeles Express of the USFL. He was selected by the Giants in the supplemental draft of former USFL players after the league had folded, but was traded to Minnesota shortly after. Zimmerman played in 108 games for the Vikings, starting every single one at left tackle. He was dominant, completely dominant.
Oh, I love me some Gary Zimmerman. He's
one of the greatest left tackles to suit up in purple and gold, honestly. He was a dominant member of the purple and gold, garnering 4 first-team All-Pro selections as a Viking, as well as 1 second-team selection. He did leave Minnesota for Denver in '93 and spent 5 seasons protecting Mr. John Elway himself. He did end up winning the Super Bowl in the process when the Broncos beat, was it Green Bay, right? So, yeah. Okay, so in '98, he ended up winning a Super Bowl for himself. Ended up retiring after that season. He is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, rightfully so. Amazing player once again, which is why he's part of the Brunswick's best, of course. He made the 1980s and 1990s All-Decade team, and he is one of the 50 greatest Vikings to ever play. So there's that. Gary Zimmerman. Claps for you, bud. Moving along, coming up to the future. We're going to go with Sully, Mr. John Sullivan. The Vikings selected John out of Notre Dame in the 6th round of the 2008 NFL draft, taking over the starting position in the 2009 season, which is when obviously we all know Brett Favre stepped in and threw a pick in New Orleans. But Sullivan was the starter for the Vikings at center until 2014, missing only 3 games in that span. Sullivan went on to injure his back during the 2015 preseason, and it was an injury that lingered for a couple of seasons. He missed the entirety of that 2015 season, and the team ended up releasing him during the 2016 preseason. He then went on to sign with the Commanders, and then went on to sign with the Rams, who made an appearance in the Super Bowl. And while Sullivan never got any awards or any big accolades during his career or any Pro Bowl nods, he was generally regarded as one of the top elite centers in the league at the time of his play. So that puts you, Mr. Sullivan, on my list as well. Now for a little honorable mention, I would like to mention the first person to ever wear 65, Jerry Huth, who came to the Vikings from the Eagles prior to the start of the team's first season. He was a starter at left guard for 39 of the first 42 games.
Games?
Games in
42
team history.
games. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, brother. But yeah, so a shout out to Jerry Huth as well, who was the first to ever wear 65 and played in the first 39 games of the team history. So there is that. And with that being said, that is the best to ever wear the number 65. Thank you.
All right. So with that, that's really all we've got for this week. So again, want to thank everybody for watching, for tuning in to the audio cast. Absolutely. Remember the contest. Hit that subscribe button down below. Get yourself subscribed to the channel. Tell us that you subscribed in the comment section of the video on YouTube. And like I said, if you're out and about at the lakes or whatever, take us with you on the weekend. You can find us on pretty much any kind of audio or video platform that you look for as far as for your entertainment. We're not on Netflix yet, but we're working on that.
Life story.
Yeah, Lifetime Network would be on there maybe.
Channel for women.
Yeah. But anyway, again, thank everybody for watching. With that, why don't you take us out of here, Lance?
Oh man, 65. We're getting old, bro.
Yeah, we can retire now.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, it's nice having you all again. We're just plugging away here. Keep telling your friends to subscribe. We'd appreciate it. We're getting up there. We're almost at 350. I think as of today, we're sitting at 349. So we got another 51 subs until we get to give away that $100 gift card. So bring them in. And once we hit 400, somebody lucky out there that watches us and subscribes is getting that gift card. With that being said, don't do anything stupid this weekend. Be smart. Put your smart caps on. Don't get arrested and do something dumb. Don't go to jail. See you next week. Skull.
Have a good weekend, guys.